Hey everybody, this is Chris West from House Calls Vermont, and today we're going to be speaking with Marc Coviello, who is the Siga Trainer and Application Advisor here in our area, and we're going to ask him about membranes, about tapes, and about the importance of vapor open assemblies. And so, Marc, welcome to the program, and of course, Jim Bradley, my colleague, is here with us to grill Marc. Welcome, Marc.
Thanks, Chris and Jim. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's great to have you here, Marc.
Our pleasure. Now, Marc is, as we said, he represents Siga. Siga is a company that we're big fans of. We've been using and supporting their products for years. There are a number of companies out there, all European-based. Siga is a Swiss company originally, and they're all putting out Siga and Proclima, and a couple of other companies are putting out membranes and tapes and other types of things. But you're one of the people we work with on a regular basis. Like, we see Marc on site if we're doing a job and we call up and say, we need tape. The next day he shows up and there's tape.
Yeah, the same day, often.
And I was actually at a building site here in Jericho 2 weeks ago, and there were the Leaches doing a retrofit of a really old plank building from the early 1800s, and they're putting on this peel and stick. And I was like, wait a second, I know that. And he said, yeah, Marc was down here. He dropped the stuff off and gave us a training on how to use it. It was a challenging building. They were not adding any insulation. But you're there, and I think it's important that people in our area and across the country know about Siga, but also know you and your products and what you offer. So I'm going to just open up with one of those open questions to say, so Marc, tell us, what is Siga, and how can it help with our building durable and airtight buildings?
Sure. Great question. First off, you started off by saying there's a number of companies out there that produce tapes and membranes and adhesive that are associated with high-performance buildings or airtight buildings. Thanks for saying that. We are not the only company out there. There are a number of companies out there. So if you're using us or one of those others, you're doing a great job to start with. So I just needed to get that square. So thanks. Siga is a Swiss company. We're going on 55 years old. We're a family-owned company. We operate worldwide. I'm a trainer and application advisor, like you said, in the Northeast market. I have a teammate who's based out of New Hampshire. He typically does the southern area of New England, and I do the northern area of New England. And what we do is we meet with builders and architects, high-performance design build folks, and we try to promote good building practice. We try to let our customers and influencers and builders know that when, why, and how to use specific airtight, weathertight, and vapor control products. Yeah, that's kind of what we are and what we do.
So yeah, go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, so many people are used to seeing the other products on site that begin with T. One of those being tar paper. The other is going to be rhymes with Beck, and another one with par. But anyway, it begins with T. But they're used to those type of things. And when some of those products have failed, now builders are saying, let's revert back to tar paper because, hey, I've taken a lot of old buildings apart, and hey, that everything was fine. They're missing the mark, though, in our estimation, and it's because though the tar paper is the same, the building materials that they're trying to protect have changed significantly, and vapor drive has become such a much bigger part of the equation. So in the details, what you do, Marc, what you've done for us is you educate us on why we should use a certain product and how it performs. Not that it just has that builder's name on it or that lumberyard's name on it. It's what does it do and how do you install it appropriately? Can you share a little bit about with us why that is so important to get that right?
Well, sure. I'm going to reference that tar paper. That's an easy one that I can say and talk about. I have a customer who's a panelized builder. They build panels, half a SIP panel, so it won't be, say, OSB, foam OSB. Let's call it OSB and then foam to the inside. They'll do the complete panel, however. Well, they're strong advocates on tar paper to the exterior. It's a great weather barrier. It lasts for a long, long time. When shingled properly, it will definitely shed bulk water. It's not an air barrier, but they lick that air barrier issue on the inside by taping all of their interior seams. So all of these components have to work together and jive together. And like you said, the products have changed over the years. I mean, I guess I can use brand names. Look at Zip sheathing, Huber Zip. I see it everywhere. Great product. It makes building fast and efficient. It's a great product also depending on who installs it, I think. There's with good products come user error at times. So wanting to make sure that people are trained on how to put these new products on that are in the industry. And, I say that, well, I guess, Jim, you said it, a lot of people don't know that Siga even exists because let's call it a new product. We're 55 years old. It's new to North America, so, and here's my challenge of now trying to educate people, architects, builders, designers, how and when to use it appropriately and efficiently. It doesn't come with an inexpensive price tag. So I want to make sure that they're spending their money and they're applying it perfectly so that they get, well, is it the perfect storm they're going to end up with? No, they're going to end up with, securing that outside of their building. So, yeah.
Well, the one thing I remember you helped me with was a roof assembly we were doing for a colleague of ours over in Burlington. And that was where it was a vaulted ceiling and it had regular, really a good roofing underlayment in one respect. You would think it would be. But what was happening was it was causing it to rain inside the house. And we couldn't figure out why initially, but then we realized that the warm, moist air was getting up into that vaulted space and then condensing on the back side of the sheathing because that underlayment was vapor closed and it would not allow for drying. Right. And so you brought out the product, MyVest, or Mayvest, I should say, Mayvest. And we use that, which is a perm rating.
I personally pronounce it MadgeVest, but
MadgeVest. What is the actual perm rating of that again?
MyVest exterior membrane is 54.
So 54, I was going to say 52. So 54 as compared to 0. And so it has the ability to protect from bulk water moisture getting in, but also it allows for drying from the inside so you don't have it raining on the inside of your assembly. And how many vaulted ceilings these opportunities have been missed? They're trying to think of, we got to keep the water out, which is great. You have to keep the water out. But when the water is the moisture is trying to drive outward, if it has nowhere to go, it's going to condense and it's going to start ruining the assembly. Having that understanding, though, I would say 90% of the people, at least, that are doing these projects don't get that yet, and they need to.
Right. And I'd like to point out that that particular project was the topic of a Journal of Light Construction article. So if people are interested, we'll have a link to the bottom of that particular project where we found it raining inside. And it's certainly not the only time that we've been on a job doing an audit. I remember very clearly a tongue and groove roof that we were at, and the guy was like, I'm getting this horrible staining on the inside of my tongue and groove. What is that? And we were like, this is air leakage. You have air leakage, the air is getting through, it's hitting the bottom of the sheathing, and it's dripping back into your house. It's not a leaky roof. That's what he was worried about. And the roof looked like horrible. The roof really needed to be replacing, which gave us a great opportunity for doing some added insulation on the outside and some good exterior air sealing. But we see that type of thing all the time.
There's some cool things that you can do, it really is. And you just have to think about it. The two of you with your experience and your education, you can come up with a multiple of different options, so I think that's what makes it even cooler,
Yeah, and what's important, of course, when we're looking at a product, I mean, I know that Jim started with the T word, but when we're building these buildings, we now have an air tightness requirement of 3 air changes per hour, and you can reach that pretty much without membranes and things. But once you start getting down to the ones, once you start getting really tight, then the old-fashioned, oh, I'm going to use sheetrock air sealing, it's just not an option anymore in order to be certain that you're going to hit those numbers. And by the way, we're trying to, as we make our houses more and more tight, we're trapping more and more moisture in there. The wind is not blowing through our walls, which is a good thing as far as infiltration reduction. But one of the reasons, as I always say, that we have 150 and 250-year-old houses still standing is because they're not airtight. Right, because all the moisture was transported away from the assemblies as they were beginning to rot. No, get that water out of there. And now we need to rely on diffusion to get that stuff out of there. So we're talking about vapor open, what we call open in both directions, as we like to say, assemblies that can dry in both directions. So tell us a little about the membrane options we have with a company like Siga and what the perm ratings are of those. I mean, there's straight up perm ratings, but there's also variable perm ratings. Why don't you walk us through that just a bit?
And why to use them? And why to use them as compared to regular plastic or some kind of just an exterior membrane? Why is it important to even consider these?
Right. Okay, sure. Not a problem. I'll start from the outside and work my way in, I suppose.
Sure.
3 different exterior membranes. And it's funny, the pronunciation of the word my vest, my Rex. I hear it all different ways, so you can say it however you want. It's quite funny. We struggle with the names here in North America. I can certainly say that. So the first one being My Vest 700 SOB. It's a black exterior weather-resistant barrier. It comes with a strip of wig glove on the bottom course of each roll, so that when the membrane is applied, it's self-sealing essentially.
So it's one course of tape in addition to the membrane.
Exactly, right. So it's not fully self-adhered. It's just one course of 2-inch wig glove adhered to the backside of the membrane. So again, when you form your overlap, and this is strictly a weather barrier because I'm going to tell you it has a perm rating of 70, I believe. It's right around 70, so it's a high perm rating, but it's black and it's 100% UV stable forever. So it's used for open joint facades, open joint cladding. And again, therefore, that wig glove on that backside to seal when the membrane is properly overlapped. So when you are looking through the open joint cladding, you don't see any tapes or anything. It's a quite clean installation. We then moved to MyVest 500 SA, one of our newer or newest membranes. Been around for a couple of years now. It's fully self-adhered.
So just to be clear, that means peel and stick for the regular
Peel and
listener,
stick,
right? Right.
Right. So you either have an 18-inch detail roll or a 60-inch 5-foot roll of peel and stick membrane. It has a perm rating of 15. It's fully. The funny thing is, do I use the word waterproof? What is really waterproof? It's
Bulk water, right?
Right. Oh, it's bulk waterproof. It's
Right.
wind-driven rainproof for sure. Once it's applied to the substrate, it can also double as an air barrier because essentially it is sealing any vertical or horizontal seams. So basically that MyVest 500 SA coupled with some wig glove, you can have an airtight, weather-tight assembly from the outside.
So just to be clear, wig glove, you're saying that a lot, and I know what that means, and Jim knows that. But wig glove is one of your tape products.
It is.
Yeah.
Wig glove is an exterior seam sealing tape that combined with some of our exterior membranes, it creates, like I mentioned earlier, that airtight assembly, or it helps to seal the rough openings of your windows or doors, things of that nature. So after we talked about the MyVest 500 SA, we moved to the MyVest 200. And that's one of our older membranes that's been around forever and ever. And that's our mechanical fastened exterior membrane. In conjunction with wig glove tape, when the seams are sealed and continuous, it's also considered an air barrier. It has a perm rate of, you're challenging me, guys. I want to say 64,
Yeah, it's
uh,
up there.
62, 54, 55. It has a perm rating of 55. So a little bit less than the MyVest 700, but vapor open. So it will not allow bulk water to penetrate from the outside, but allowing any vapor or moisture that builds up behind the membrane inside of the cavity to penetrate and dry to the exterior.
And to be clear, for once again the people listening in that may not have heard of the perm rating before, perm rating is basically the higher the perm rating, the more easily vapor is transferred or allows it to dry. The lower the perm rating, once you get down to close to 0 or less, you're going to have a vapor barrier at that point in time and not just a vapor control layer. So that's why perm ratings are so important. The higher perm rating, the better it is for the assembly as far as letting it dry out.
Exactly, yes. So that takes us down into the interior. Interior, we have an interior membrane. It's called Myrex. Our interior membrane is a variable membrane, so it has the ability to change its perm rating. It comes in a 5-foot tall roll. It varies at let me start over. Its membrane is variable in one direction, I should say.
Right.
In one direction from the inside. So from the inside, if I was inside my building looking at this membrane installed, that membrane is going to stay virtually vapor closed at, what is it, 0.097, I believe, perm, US perm. If I'm on the outside, that membrane has the ability to open up to 4.25 US perms. So again, if any vapor were to get inside of my assembly, depending on the moisture, the humidity, it has the ability to say, okay, I need to open up and I need to allow this moisture to dry to the interior. It doesn't happen very often in our weather zone, in our climate zone. It's primarily closed. It's promoting drying to the exterior by staying closed. However, again, it will open up to approximately 4.25 US perms when needed.
And just to jump in to clarify, so where is something a vapor barrier? Where is it a vapor retarder? And when is a vapor open? And what is a perm? And we've gone over this on a number of our radio shows, which are also YouTube videos that you can check out. And what basically anything from 0.001 to 0.1 is a vapor barrier. Anything from 0.1 to 1 is a vapor retarder, and anything that's more than 1 perm is more vapor open. When you get to 10 perms, it's considered to be completely vapor open. So that's the scale, and that's a class 1, 2, and 3 vapor retarder, and we'll make sure a little chart jumps up on the screen here so you can see that. So what we're looking for when we're making vapor open assemblies is that we want something above 10 on the outside. And we want something, if we're going to do inside vapor control also, we like that vapor, the variable vapor open, vapor close, because what it allows for is reducing the vapor coming from the inside of the house into your assembly during the heating season when there's more vapor in the house than outside of the house. Remember, we're talking about nature likes a balance. And just like heat, if it's cold outside and it's warm inside, heat goes from where it's warmer to where it's colder. And the same thing happens with vapor. If you're more moist inside and it's less moist outside, then water vapor, gaseous water, will actually flow through your paint, through your sheetrock, and into your wall. And it will deposit there if it hits a surface that's below the 2 point. That's that first condensing layer.
Are we calling that diffusion, Chris?
Yes, we call that diffusion, exactly. Vapor diffusion.
And I'm glad that you actually mentioned those scales and the classes. For instance, I don't think a lot of people understand, that class 1 4 mil plastic, right? That's a great way, I think, to define the two, or 3, I guess, if you weren't clear on what the differences were. Vapor close, class 1, 4 mil poly.
Right. Exactly. So now we've got our membranes dealt out. Why don't you bring us around to understanding the tape side of things? Because I know that you have tapes for all kinds of different places. I contacted you last summer when I was putting that cap on top of the brick part of the building at 10 Old, and I needed a capillary break between the brick and my mud sill. So and you brought over a product. It dropped. I mean, it was awesome, and I still have a bunch of it left. So why don't we talk? Why don't we start from the concrete wall to the frame wall as far as capillary breaks, and then let's talk about what acrylic bonding agent tape is.
Okay, awesome. We do have a series of different tapes. We do try to keep it simple. So as confusing as it may sound, it's not at all. It's actually quite simple. So let's start inside. So if I have Myrex, or our interior vapor control layer, I would couple that with Reson. Reson is our interior seam sealing tape. Interior seam sealing tape for sealing all the horizontal or vertical seams of either that material, Myrex, or we can seal plywood. We can seal just about any substrate to the interior. And I say that to the interior because Reson is what we would call a vapor close. We would call that a vapor close tape. It has a very small or slight permeability to allow our acrylic adhesive to dry if any moisture were to get behind that surface. So the carrier material, being our tape, the Reson, is colored green. So that carrier material is green. That has that permeability rating to, again, allow the vapor moisture to dry out. Our tape, that 100% acrylic adhesive, is also non-toxic and VOC, residential free of, what am I trying to say?
Low VOC or non VOC.
Non-VOC, exactly.
Volatile organic compound, right?
Exactly. So it's safe as well. There's no off-gassing of the material. To the Chris, you also mentioned, try to talk about that concrete to the mud sill to the substrate. We have a tape that's called Fentrum. Our Fentrum tape is used both on the inside and the outside. And it comes with, again, a permeability rating to allow any vapor to permeate through the tape to allow drying if any moisture were to get behind the tape. And again, I say moisture, it's not bulk water. It can be applied to concrete surfaces without any primers down to 14 degrees Fahrenheit as a application temperature range. So anytime we talk about any of our tapes or membranes with adhesives on them, they have a very low application temperature range, conservatively starting at 14 degrees. They can be applied to many different surfaces without the use of primers, OSBs, plywood, concrete, gypboard, you name it. One of the only substrates or products that we don't really like to adhere to very well would be any type of like wood fiber board.
Like Gutex or something
like
like
a
that.
Gutex. And it's not the problem that we don't adhere to that material. The problem is the material doesn't have enough really like backbone to support us.
Yeah.
We'll pull our material, we'll pull the tape off of the material, and the material will come with the tape.
Yeah. It's just that Gutex is friable in that way, so it's very easy to pull off the top couple of layers. I wanted to just jump in there on that 14-degree temperature application because my first experience with Reson was with Jim's boss. Nate Hayward was building a house. They were trying to adhere membrane to the inside of a concrete wall in the winter, and the other products were just not sticking. And you dropped off some Reson, and they were like, "This stuff is awesome because I can apply it at this temperature." And it was definitely something we can say field tested on it working down to 14 degrees. So
right. No, thanks for saying that. Some guys love it. A lot of guys hate it because they know that they're working all winter long. But here in Vermont, it can get darn cold for sure. I think I mentioned it's a zero point zero 0.09 US perm. So again, it has a very, very slight permeability to allow some moisture to pass through if need be. That's the resign. Talked about the centrum for the base joint. And again, the base joint where the wall meets the concrete foundation, I see in the field one of the most common areas that is missed as far as air sealing. Sure, there's that still seal, and a lot of people use, whatever it might be, PL 5000 or whatever, caulking or sealant. But
Acoustic caulking. I hear a lot of people
whatever it
using.
might
Yeah.
but that tape joint at that intersection is, you can inspect it, you can see it, you know that it's been done. So it's a great joint to actually seal and cover. That brings us to Wig Love. I mentioned Wig Love earlier. Wig Love is our exterior seam sealing tape. It's also used for penetrations to the outside. It can be used on all different substrates, such as, like I mentioned, Reson, plywood, OSB, zip sheathing, any type of exterior membrane, typically, if you want to overlap and seal that membrane. Sure, we love it being used with MyVest or MyVest 500. But if you're looking to build an assembly and you're using a competitor's membrane or sheathing, and you want a good robust tape or a tape that's going to stick in the wintertime, we don't mind combining products. A lot of
You're agnostic as long as they're thinking about air tightness and they're using products that are going to do the job right. I mean, you definitely want to sell. You guys are in business, but
Right. But as long as you're doing a good job and you're thinking about it, we're okay with that. You don't have to use our whole system. Again, like you said, we would love for you to use it, but again, you certainly don't have to, and we fully support that. A lot of times it comes up with an issue as far as warranty. Well, the competitor might not warranty um, give you their warranty on their product, but we'll certainly warranty our product on theirs.
yeah.
No problem. So we're willing to
And
stand
Mark,
up.
I can say that, I've experienced that with you so many different times where, we've used a competitor's product because we either had it around or the customer preferred it, but we know that the tape works. And, we'll do a hybrid situation, but we want an assembly that's going to be proper for the actual building and the climate. And you've supported that. And that has been, very refreshing to be able to deal with a company that is willing to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's perfect. It's what I think needs to happen in the industry, really. Um, Yeah. So, we moved, I talked about Fentrum at the base joint. We also make a Fentrum for window sealing. It's kind of a cool tape.
Yeah.
It carries a name. It's a Fentrum 230 gray. It has a number to it, and it comes in some different widths. The way it comes off the roll, it has a 1/2 inch pre-fold that's actually pre-peeled. It's a great section or a great detail to stick right on the frame of the window, come across a nailing flange and hit some substrate. It's awesome for that application.
Yeah.
It's even better for the European window that doesn't have a nailing flange.
Right.
And you now create the nailing flange with this tape. And by having that 1/2 inch pre-peeled pre-fold, it creates a perfect straight line right down the side or the edge of the frame of the window. So it's a great tape for window sealing. Bulk water, or yeah, bulk waterproof, I guess, from the outside, vapor permeable from the inside. Now that tape actually does carry a higher perm rating than our interior tapes. If there was any vapor or moisture or water that got inside of the rough opening cavity, we want to promote drying to the outside or exterior drying. That has, that has a perm rating of 1.72, 1.73, somewhere around there.
That's great. As a matter of fact, just a little plug is in about 2 weeks I will be getting my next order of Wythe windows in, and we will be needing to do an interior and exterior taping on that. I already have, you dropped off some Reson the other day, but I'll probably need to get some wig love for that. And we're going to be doing a whole bit on mid-wall window installation, which will be a part of the show the week that we do that install. So I'll be getting in touch for some wig love for that.
No problem, Chris. Actually, I like the window detail and the challenge of the European, the North American window. Different window manufacturers have different specs or installation guidelines. And again, I love the challenge of just trying to seal that window and come up with the best techniques. There's so many different ways. Yeah, let's set up a video camera and let's do one window together at your house. I'd love to do it.
Yeah, and that will also let us see Mark's, training and application skills in the field.
Put me on the spot for sure. No, I'm up for the challenge.
Great. Well, yeah.
A few things I think that are really important here that we need to understand, because some of these membranes still, they've been on the market for some time, but they're still new because people did make a switch maybe 20 years ago to one of the other T names. And because of that, they may not be willing, thinking this is just the Cadillac option, or the high-end option. Well, you're looking for high performance. But what concerns me about any of these assemblies is getting the details right, because putting plastic behind your sheetrock was promoted for so many years, but it was never installed right. And even today's code, you can use a better product than plastic, but if you don't tape the joints and seams and you staple through it and tear it, and you don't detail around all these different elements, you're not going to get the performance that you're looking for. It may be on the wall, but it's not going to be promoting what you're looking to promote with your products. And I see that far too often, even on the outside, where I'll see somebody put a building wrap on with whatever's name on there, and then they don't tape the seams, or they use a slap stapler, voiding the warranty. So many different things. They don't get the detail right, or in the assembly, they don't overlap the top layer to the lower layer. They underlap, right? And then they wonder why water chases in.
Yeah.
And so it's so important to get the details right. And one thing that the way Siga has set up your service here in our region has been that you get to go, you have the latitude of going to the job sites, meeting with the contractors, educating them why. And that is such a big benefit because it makes them want to use it the next time. Because if they understand how to install it, where I think the failure is going to be is if someone tried something new and then they do see a failure, let's go back to car paper.
Because it was the product that made the mistake, right?
Yeah, not the installation, but so many times it is the installation. So getting that installation right, taking advantage of your services, Mark, and your knowledge to be able to say this is how you do this in the right way, I think is crucial for the whole development of this product line in our market.
Well, thanks, Jim. I want to reference a job that you did with Nate up in the islands, that beautiful home up on the cliff there that had that gorgeous view. You guys had some logic windows that you installed, and you did the complete system. You actually detailed that rough opening to the hilt. I mean, you had insulation on the rough in the rough opening. You thought of everything on that application, and you used our system both inside and outside tape. So you used the Fentrum IS-20 on the inside, and you used the Fentrum 230 gray on the outside. But imagine that. Imagine if I convinced you into using Fentrum. You purchased the Fentrum went to the job site, and then someone installed the windows, and then you put the interior tape on the outside. So you put a tape now that has a 0.09 perm on the outside, and now a tape that has a 1.72 on the inside. We're talking like very, very small perm ratings, but still, one's really closed and one's kind of open. So that kind of really defeated the purpose, definitely in our climate zone. They're all waterproof to the outside. None of our tapes allow water to penetrate them. So as far as bulk water, you're fine. But if any moisture or vapor were inside of that rough opening cavity, where's it going? That's 1, 2, 3 days a year. It's going to try and dry to the inside.
Yeah.
So you have an issue, and we don't want that. We want to prevent that issue. And you said it earlier. prevent bad things from happening.
Yeah.
First thing I wrote down, you know,
There
and
you go.
I'm going to use it. And there you are. You know, we want to prevent bad things from happening. So thanks
So
for using our system up there. And you guys, you detailed it perfect. It came out really nice.
well, it doesn't feel like we've been chatting for almost 45 minutes, but we're getting close. And um, first of all, Mark, I want to make it very clear to the people out there who are watching this, you do not charge for site training or site visits, right?
No, it's part of my job.
Yeah.
You know, that's my job. My job is to promote Siga. Sure, I sell Siga products, but in hindsight, we just want people to know how to use it, when to use it, and where to use it. We provide moisture calculations if you're going to use our products, and that on-site training. Yeah, I'll come out. I'll do mock-ups. I'll work side by side with you guys for a little bit and install some windows and make sure that they're done right. You know, I don't want to call back, Chris. You know, I don't want you to say, Mark, my window's leaking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, why is this window leaking? I don't want that. You know,
Leaking
so,
at the tape. I mean, we know you can have windows leaking because they were manufactured poorly, but the window to wall connection should not be leaking.
correct.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Mark, thank you so much for coming in and interviewing with us today. We are really glad, and we'll have you back on when we get to installing my mid-wall windows. I have a brick install, and I got a wood frame install, so we'll have a lot of fun with that. And we'll get videos out so that everybody can see you working in the field and get an idea of what Jim and I will go through as far as the process of determining exactly how we want to detail that window. And I'm really looking forward to having you back for that.
Thanks. I didn't mean to invite myself, but I couldn't help it. I couldn't help myself. I like that. And I'd rather be out in the field with you guys than sitting at my desk here.
Agreed. Okay, well, this is once again Chris West for House Calls Vermont, and until next week when we have another interview, we'll let you know about that. We have in the wings waiting, talking about embodied energy. We have Jacob Daver Racusin from from New Framework. Sorry, I don't want to get his company wrong. And once again, Mark, thanks so much. We'll be seeing you again, and everybody have a good day.